Folks, I want to take a moment to acknowledge Todd for his leadership as he prepares to step down from his role as CEO. And Todd, you've had such a massive impact on the Brampton Board of Trade over the past 9 years, and thank you. Thank you for your tremendous leadership. Thank you for supporting our businesses and our shared economic success. As I say, you're a champion, my friend. And I wish you all the best in whatever you do next. You know, we have a lot of boards to fill at the province. There's like 3,400 appointments, so, okay, there you go. Friends, I'm thrilled to be back here in the beautiful city of Brampton, and I always tell folks that when Carla and I got married 35 years ago, I'm still trying to figure out why she's, hanging in with me for 35 years. But 35 years ago, we moved to Brampton when we first got married. And we found a place on Lisa Street, right off Clark Boulevard. And back then, 35 years ago, they didn't have the 410, and half of Brampton wasn't built. And so just look at it now. It's pretty amazing. Well, I brought my A-team with me, as I always say. It's not myself that make things happen. It's our team, and Minister Sarkaria and Minister Williams, Minister Tangri, MPP Amarjot Sandhu, and MPP Deepak Anand. He came in from Mississauga, but that's all right. We still welcome you here. And the great and the great chair, Peel. Where's Nando? I heard someone say Nando. There you are. Good to see you, Nando. He's doing an incredible job in Peel as well. I also like to give a shout out to Janet Morrison, president of Sheridan. So great to see you. And Anne-Marie Vaughan, president of Humber, right in my hometown there. Anne-Marie, good to see you. And all the great Brampton companies. But I always say our number one selling feature, no matter where we go, or wherever, be it Nina with small businesses or Vic Fideli around the world, they always say, what's great about your province? And I always say the talent. The talent coming from our colleges and universities are second to none. I just said that to General Motors. I had a meeting with them this morning, and they agreed. We have some of the best talented young people coming out of our colleges and universities, so I appreciate it. And there's so many familiar faces in the audience from all Ontario companies right across Ontario, but especially great Brampton companies. I've always believed that it's small and medium-sized businesses that are the backbone of our economy. As I've said many times before, when it comes to our economy, it's our businesses and entrepreneurs, not government, that are driving job creation and innovation and growth. What we're doing is supporting you by creating the conditions and the climate for jobs to grow and businesses to succeed. Since coming into office in 2018, we've cut red tape, saving people and businesses $1 billion and over 100,000 hours in time every single year. We've made energy more affordable by reducing electricity rates for small, medium, and large-sized businesses anywhere from 15 to 17%. And we're keeping taxes and fees low. And I love this stat. We have never, ever raised a tax on the people, on the businesses. To the contrary, we've lowered taxes from people, no matter if you see the 412 or 418 tolls or those terrible license stickers, and I'm talking about a sticker company too, but we got rid of those nasty stickers that 8 million people ended up getting a refund. And we gave a tax break to the lowest 1.1 million people, lowest income people in the entire province, with many other areas. And we've also reduced the cost of doing business in Ontario by over $8 billion every single year. And I always say when I speak, I'll never forget when I did our first press conference in 2018, as the previous government chased out 300,000 businesses from our province. And we had one of the largest sub-sovereign debts in the world, highest electricity costs, red tape, regulations. And the media said, well, you have to raise taxes. And I'm thinking, that's the worst thing you could ever do on the backs of the people or on the backs of businesses. You take money out of people's pockets They aren't going out. They aren't going out for dinner. They aren't putting an addition on their home or fixing their kitchen or buying stuff they might otherwise not be able to afford. And same with the businesses. You take money out of businesses' pockets, we saw what happened. They just get up and leave. Now, what we did the very first year, we started to cut taxes, and it was unbelievable. We saw $2 billion more revenue going up to Queen's Park coffers. And this is another stat that I absolutely love. And I know there's a lot of business people here. So when we came into office, revenues at the province, right then, we increased it from $150 billion up to $204 billion. We increased revenues by $54 billion while reducing taxes. Because we created the environment and conditions for companies to come here and thrive and prosper and grow. And when companies thrive, prosper, and grow, so do the people thrive, prosper, and grow. And so we've seen more revenue because there's 715,000 people working today that weren't working 5.5 years ago. And there's... You know, it's money that goes back into your businesses, and you can invest in your workers and innovation and technology. That's what we did at our company here and down in the U.S. You reinvest it, and it pays off dividends. And friends, our plan, the steps we're taking to build a stronger and more resilient economy, it's working. This year, Ontario's once again recognized as the most competitive place to do business in Canada and in North America. The numbers speak for themselves. Today, there are 2,134 more businesses operating in our province compared to last year. And companies in Ontario, your companies, are growing and expanding, creating hundreds of thousands of jobs. As I mentioned, there's 715,000 more people working today than there was in 2018, and I give each and every one of you credit. But again, it's not government that creates jobs. If government starts creating jobs, we're all in deep trouble, but we create that environment. We're also attracting billions of dollars in new international investments across all sectors. Companies are coming here because of the world-class colleges and universities, as I said earlier on, our talented workforce, our strong established supply chains, and our competitive economy. For example, in the life sciences / pharmaceutical, we've seen and secured over $3 billion in new projects since 2020. From companies like Sanofi, Moderna, Roche, AstraZeneca, which earlier this year announced that it's expanding its research footprint in its Mississauga facility. In tech, this is really, really interesting. We've attracted close to $14 billion in investment. So remember all the young students used to take off to San Francisco Bay Area, Silicon Valley? Well, we employ more people in Ontario than San Francisco Bay Area as a whole. So they employ about 388,000. We're well over 415,000. We're a tech powerhouse now. And when you talk about AI, everyone's talking AI. It was born right here at U of T. And just some of the brightest people there are come right from Toronto GTA. Here in Brampton, we've seen major tech investments, including MDA's $100 million investment for its Space Robotics Center of Excellence. Brampton is also an emerging home for tech startups specializing in artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and is becoming a hub for incubators and accelerator spaces. And folks, we're putting our manufacturing sector back on the map. We're building a homegrown electric vehicle supply chain. Over the past 3 years, we've attracted over $27 billion in the auto EV battery investments. This includes Stellantis, $3.6 billion investment to retool and modernize its Windsor and Brampton plants. And Magna's $265 million investment to open an EV battery enclosure facility at Heart Lake. These investments, they're spurring further growth, creating hundreds of thousands of new jobs across all sectors, all regions of the province, including right here in Brampton. Folks, in North America, we are an economic powerhouse. I had an opportunity, it was last week, we had a group come up from Michigan, and they're a #1 trading partner. We do about $80 billion of two-way trade. As a whole, we do close to $400 billion with the U.S. of two-way trade. And if we were a standalone country, not that I ever recommend that, I don't, but if we were a standalone country, we'd be the U.S.'s 3rd largest trading partner in the world, only next to Mexico and China. But the difference is the U.S. have massive trade deficits with Mexico and China. Ours is split right down the center, give or take $1 billion. And when our friends from Michigan came up, the Congress people and the Speaker of the House, they were in shock. They were like, unbelievable what we're doing in the auto sector. I didn't want to tell them we're eating their lunch, but we are eating their lunch. And but some parts, auto parts, can go back across the border 6, 7, 8 times before it gets assembled in one of our auto plants or gets assembled down in Michigan. But it's always good to have a strong relationship. And we are the fastest growing region economically and in growth. I have an opportunity to speak to a lot of the governors all around the U.S. and my friends in Texas and friend in Florida. They always like bragging. They always, and God bless them, they always say, we're the fastest growing state in the U.S. And I said, yeah, granted. And they both say the exact same thing. We both are seeing 1,000 people come in to their state every single day. And I thought, boy, that's 365,000 people coming to your state every year. Texas is about 31 million people, and Florida is about 21 million people. And I said, we're about 16 million, but last year alone, we saw over 800,000 people show up to Ontario last year alone. And they... So, I've been shouting and screaming with the Fed saying we need more people. We're short, what was it, a couple of months ago, 360,000 people. And they didn't call me up one day and say, oh, by the way, 800,000 people are coming the next day. But here nor there, I did tell them, so out of the 1.2 million people that you're bringing to Canada, 800,000 are here in Ontario. And I asked them, where do you think the other 400,000 are going? They said, well, they're going to BC, they're going to Alberta, they're going to Nova Scotia. I said, I'm not a betting guy, but I'll bet you lunch that half of those people within a year, they're coming to the economic powerhouse called Ontario. And that's what we're going to see. And that's the reason I'm jumping up and down saying, let's build homes. And, we have to build homes. So we're going to see tremendous growth. We will overtake New York State. There are about 18.5 million people. Give it about 5 years. For the first time, Ontario's GDP has hit over $1 trillion. And if we were ranked worldwide, we'd have 1 trillion is about ranked number 17 worldwide against all the other countries. So that's pretty impressive for a province. But my friends, as we navigate global economic uncertainty, we know there's more to do. We must stay focused, and we can't take anything for granted. Ontario isn't immune to global economic forces. When I speak to business owners, both big and small, they say one of their main concerns is finding and retaining talent. That's why we're making historic investments in employment and training programs to ensure Ontario workers have the skills they need for the jobs of today and tomorrow. We also understand that a critical part of attracting workers to Brampton and the GTA is to make sure we have the housing and the infrastructure to support them and their families. That's why we're working with our cities and municipalities to build 1.5 billion new homes across the province, including a total of 113,000 homes right here in Brampton by 2031. And to support Brampton and Peel Region's growing population, to support your growing economies, we're building the critical infrastructure the region needs. This includes historic investments in healthcare infrastructure, including by bringing a new hospital with 24/7 emergency department to Brampton, something that's long overdue and the previous government totally ignored. Where's my friend Frank Martino, Dr. Martino? Dr. Martino, you're doing a great job over there, my friend. This room's full of a bunch of champions. That's good. We're also building a brand new TMU medical school at the Bramley Civic Center. So just imagine a young kid, or young student I should say, grows up in Brampton, right? Goes to school at TMU and then works at the Brampton Hospital. What a success story that would be. And I know it's going to happen. So to keep people and goods moving, we're building the Hazel-McCallion line as part of the largest transit expansion in North America. We're spending $70 billion in expanding transit, and roads and bridges about $28 billion. And the commander-in-chief over there, our minister, Prab, you're doing a great job. Just keep going, my friend. That's going to see millions of trips taken every year and help tackle gridlock on roads. And when we're talking about gridlock, we need to talk about Highway 413. Friends, it's expected that in the next decade, without a new highway, all the major highways in the region, including 407, will be or exceed capacity during rush hour. And by 2051, travel times on the main stretch of Highway 401 will likely double. I don't know how we can double any more traffic on the 401, but it sounds good, right? It's like jam-packed. Our buildings are right in front of the 401. I've been watching that for the last 40 years, the traffic jams. This added gridlock would cost our economy billions of dollars every single year. That's why we're building Highway 413 and the Bradford Bypass, to bring much-needed relief to one of the most congested corridors in North America. Highway 413 will reduce travel times by 30 minutes each way, saving drivers up to 1 hour per day, 5 hours per week. It will get goods to market faster, helping to move our economy and workers forward. Unfortunately, because of the federal government, this project is needlessly stalled. And people that don't know politics, I'll tell you, I've never seen anything like this. But we've faced endless delays to getting shovels in the ground. As you may or may not know, Federal Impact Assessment Act was just rejected by the Supreme Court. It duplicates Ontario's world-class environmental review process. So we're taking further legal action to ensure that Ottawa can't impede or stop desperately needed infrastructure projects like the 413. As we do, we continue to urge the federal government to work with us, not against us, to build this highway. Folks, never in the history of Ontario has a federal government come in and interfered with building highways. It's just never, ever happened. So I guess there's a little bit of, and I can't figure out the politics to be very frank, but obviously there is. Because we're ready to get the shovels in the ground, so before we move on to the fireside chat, I have a message for our Brampton Liberal MPs. Get on board, get on side, let us get building Highway 413. If someone else beats you to supporting this project, if you're left having to defend yourself stopping this project in the next federal election, you'll soon be out of a job. Just look at what happened on Highway 413 worked out for the Liberal NDP candidates right here in Brampton. They all got swept because they didn't agree with the 413. And we're pouring about $184 billion into infrastructure, and we're going to continue pouring money into infrastructure, the roads and the highways and the hospitals and the schools. And for everyone here today, we need your help. Encourage all of you. As soon as you leave, call your MP, call the Minister of Environment, talk to the Minister of Infrastructure federally, and the Deputy Prime Minister, whoever it takes, to get this highway started. Let them know that we need to get highways built, we need to build the infrastructure that supports Brampton's growth, and we need to build it now. Friends, our government is going to continue to work for you. We're going to keep looking for ways to cut costs off businesses and put money back into the people's pockets. We're going to keep working to create the conditions and attract new investments and jobs. And we're going to keep building the infrastructure Brampton needs to reach its full potential. See, the Prime Minister's already listening. Tell him we got to, but, so, Together, we're building Brampton and we're building Ontario. We're going to get it done. Thank you again for inviting me, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you so much. Thank you.
We're going to have a seat over there.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. Talk about quick results. That's awesome. Before we get started, it's so great. Thank you so much for your words. And you touched on a lot about what we're going to be talking about today, Premier. But I know we had a quick conversation outside before you came in. And Todd, thank you for bringing this to my attention. I wanted to publicly take the opportunity to thank you. In 2021, spring of 2021, you gave the green light for us to administer COVID vaccines in our food processing plants, like Maple Lodge Farms, and our distribution centers. And that was a dark time. So to get that go-ahead, and I think it really helped to spearhead COVID-19. And here we are today, right? Without masks, enjoying beautiful dinners. And so I wanted to thank you so much for that.
Yeah, no, thank you. It was a team effort.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Again, it was Team Ontario and Michael at Maple Lodge. Where are you, Michael? Are you out there? Oh, there you are. Thank you, and appreciate everyone else pitching in. And we did very well, especially compared to the rest of the world. And I always say, and when CBC comes out and says, you know, Ontario did second best in the world next to Japan. I love Japan. They're doing great. I think we did better. But I'll take second place from CBC any day. Yeah. So that's it.
Absolutely. All right. So I know there's a lot of juicy topics to dive into, and for sake of time, let's get started. Premier, your government has been very focused on Brampton, from the TMU School of Medicine, as you mentioned, to expanded GO Train service, to investments in advanced manufacturing like Stellantis and MDA. Yeah. Tell me, from your perspective, why Brampton? What is the story of our city that makes it such a magnet for investment?
I think it's the people. You know, we have some of the brightest people right here. We have great colleges and universities. I think altogether it's about 21 within an hour's drive. And the location close to the airport, its convenience. And I just think the world of Brampton. I've seen Brampton grow over the last 35 years when I laid down roots and stayed here for 5 years and had 2 kids here. And I just, it's just an amazing area of Ontario. It's the fastest growing large city in all of Canada. And there's a reason. There's a reason companies come to Brampton. The first thing they look at is the talent. The talent of the people and who they can recruit. And that's the root cause of the growth here in Brampton.
I love it. And you mentioned Lisa Street. So I was born right around there, went to Clark Boulevard, and all of that. So it definitely pulled heartstrings. Yeah. And that's great to hear. You know, we hear every day about the talent shortage.
Yes.
It's affecting businesses of every sector and every size, many of who are in the room today. We are working hard to be a part of the solution. And through programs like our Be Ready Talent Accelerator, what can we do to attract young people to the skilled trades, to emerging jobs of tomorrow in AI? You talked a bit about that. I'd love to elaborate in, advanced manufacturing. What can we do to be that attractive?
Well, I think it starts with our young people. We're starting job fairs, believe it or not, in grade 7 all the way up to grade 12. And when the kids get in grade 11 and 12, they can go out there and earn a credit, work in skilled trades with, for example, carpenters or Liuna. They'll bring them in, teach them a skilled trade. You know, I tell kids, not all kids are academics, right? I always encourage them to stay in school. It's the lightest luggage they're ever going to carry around. No one can take your education off you, but there's different levels of education. And the colleges are doing an incredible job in teaching skilled trades as well. You know, they're feeding the system. And, I always say, you could be earning over $100,000 within the first couple of years of picking up a skilled trade. And then you can go out and be an entrepreneur and start your own business in the skilled trades. We're investing about $1.5 billion into the skilled trades alone. We're working with the colleges and the union partners as well. But I think there's a bright, really bright future. We're short about 100,000 people in the skilled trades. And I love telling my American friends that, you know, we have more cranes in Toronto, not including just GTA 2, than New York, Chicago, LA, Dallas combined. So that says a lot, and people notice it. When business people fly in and they look around, they travel through Brampton or Mississauga or downtown Toronto, number one comment, I can't believe the amount of cranes you have in the sky right now. Cranes equals prosperity.
I like that.
Yeah.
Got to get T-shirts that say that. That's beautiful. And you painted a beautiful picture here when you talked about, you know, a student goes to school here in Brampton, you know, and then they kind of stay in Brampton and lend their expertise. And that's the future we want to see. And so it's good to see that, you know, cranes are getting ready to build that infrastructure. So beautiful, beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
One of the big priority projects for this region is one that you are very familiar with. It's the GTA West Corridor, or Highway 413. Can you update us on work to get, what's it going to take to get that built? Can you give us an update? We've been consistent in calling on the federal government to stop the duplicative assessment process.
Yeah.
Is there anything else the business community can do to help your government on this file? Because we know it's going to take collaboration and lending our voices, which we're prepared to do. But we'd love to hear from you and see if, you know, what can we do?
Well, it's shocking because I can work with anyone. I work really well with the federal government on so many initiatives, on the EV sector, on $10 a day daycare, and in the tech sector as well. And honestly, I don't know why they're doing this. I've asked them over and over again, and they give you the old political runaround answer. They have a Minister of Environment that's an extremist. He handcuffs themselves to trees. Like, that says it all, right? I always say it's not either or, it's and. You can be environmentally friendly, environmentally conscious, and create economic development, be it the EVs, or changing over from coal-fired furnaces up in DeFasco in Algoma to electric arc furnaces. That's like taking 2 million cars off the road. But you can't be an extremist. You can't be hardcore one way, hardcore the other. It's either or. No, that doesn't work. It's and. So that's what we're going to do, is continue working with them. Unfortunately, we've had to bring them back to court again. We're going to win again. We already won the last time, but it was a court's opinion. Now we have to get more into the legal jargon, let's say. But Prab, you're ready, right? We're going to start early works on it, on the ramps, and we have to get dirt flying. Yeah. And again, our environmental assessments, folks, are world class, second to none anywhere. And why would you duplicate? Nothing drives people more crazy than duplication in government. No matter if it's duplicating what municipalities do or duplicating what the province or the federal government does, you're stifling the economy, you're hurting people. And it's just staggering. I can't figure it out why they're doing it.
Yeah. I'm hearing you say collaboration, consistency, and it's going to take some level-headedness, and you know, we're standing by. We want to see it come to,
so
you know.
Call your MPs, call your ministers federally, and really keep pounding away. And just ask them why. It's never been done ever in the history of Ontario that the feds interfere in building highways.
Wow. Well, thanks so much for your take on that. I want to conclude with one more question, Premier. I wanted to ask you about a perennial pain point that I know your government takes very seriously, interprovincial trade barriers. Oh, yeah. The Chamber Network has led the conversation on this issue across provinces and with the federal government. What further can be done to make it easy or as easy to do trade with, let's say, Edmonton as it is with Ecuador?
Yeah, good, great question. You know, we've put a group together, and by the way, all the premiers get along so well. Doesn't matter what political stripe you're from, we stick together like glue. but everyone wants to protect a certain sector. We're losing out on about $100 billion, right down to the bottom line, to the GDP. We export, just within Canada, about 158 billion. We import from all the provinces about 116 billion. But everyone benefits right across the country if we take down the trade barriers. You know, like, I don't know, one example, hot topic is always wine. You know, BC, don't go onto my turf, and, you know, you don't go into our turf and wine, and little things. But what we are doing, we're standardizing a lot of different things. And these are real silly little things, but it's unbelievable how many silly little things there are. So on a first aid kit, each province has its own rules that accompanies on what first aid, bandages and other stuff you need. Tires on trucks. They have different tires for each jurisdiction. So just imagine a transport going through Quebec, then pulling over, and you know their tires don't fit the criteria here in Ontario. But we're fixing all these little things. But let's just take down all the barriers. Just have open and free trade, and that's what we need to do. Just take down everything. We're all Canadians. We all benefit, and we'll get there. We're working closely together. We've formed a little committee with certain premiers, and we're trying to work out our differences there.
Yeah, thank you. It's the little details that are holding back progress sometimes, and I appreciate you taking time to shed light on those topics. Premier, thanks for taking the time and coming.
Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Just after some ending comments. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Premier Ford. That puts us up against some time this afternoon, so I'll keep my closing remarks brief. Premier Ford, it has been terrific to have you with us